Hey guys, welcome back. It's time for another Fusion 360 tutorial. Now, in the first tutorial, I showed you how to create some simple objects, combine them in various ways, and export the file or export the model that you've created for 3D printing. So if you have not watched that, you should go watch that now, right up here. And then today, we're going to talk about sketches. And honestly, 9 times out of 10 when I come into Fusion 360, I start with a sketch instead of starting with a solid object. And now sketches in Fusion 360 are a very powerful tool, and there's a lot that can be done with them. So I'm just going to touch on some of the basic things here, and we'll learn more as we go. So first thing we're going to do is come up to this little sketch tab here and click it, and we can go create sketch. And now it's going to ask us what plane to put this sketch on. So we'll click on the ground, and it'll automatically set us up in an orthographic view so we can see the sketch better. And now there's a lot of things we can do here, but let's go ahead and just start with a rectangle. I'll just go 2-point rectangle, and I'm basically just going to drag it out. You can put in precise measurements if you want. It's not that important for me right now. So now we've got our rectangle, and say that we wanted to divide this in half. Come up to this line tool here, and I've got it as a shortcut up here, but you can also find it right here or use the keyboard shortcut L. And so once you have that clicked, you can come down here and start drawing lines. Now, I want the line to be directly down the center of this. So if I follow this right here, you'll see that as I get towards the center, I will get a little triangle right there. And that just basically means I'm in the center of this line. So I'm going to click there, and I'm just going to drag straight down. And you can see as long as those blue dotted lines are there, that means that I am centered. I'm going to come down here, and you can see I've got the triangle again. And as I followed it down, I've got the blue lines, so I'm good to go. And then after I click, you can see that you're still in the line tool, and it keeps wanting you to create more lines. And to get out of that, just hit escape, and now you can hover over each of these regions and select them to verify that they are completely closed. And what I mean by that is if I were to take a line like this and just come out here somewhere and hit escape, you can see that this is still one full thing. It has not been sliced like that. But if I were to drag this over here and close it, now you can see that there are 3 sections. So sometimes these can look like they've been closed, but they aren't really, so just be aware of that. Now, lines aren't the only thing we can mess with. Spline is also a very powerful tool. So let's start with that, and as you can see, it'll really try to snap to things that it thinks are relevant. And that can be very helpful. It can also be a big pain in the butt. But regardless, let's just go ahead and snap to this corner, and then I'm going to click a couple times out here to create a nice curve. And now that I've got the curve that I wanted, I can either hit escape or I can click this little checkbox here and it'll be good to go. And now it's still wanting me to do more curves, so I'm just going to hit escape. So now, say that I wanted to change this a little bit. They have these little manipulators here, and you can actually take those and change the properties of the curve. So basically what these do is Fusion 360 tries to keep these curves along with the angle you're setting here and keep the curves of all the other angles you've set. And basically by dragging them out, the curves get wider, and by dragging them in, the curves get thinner on the specific one that you're using. So just mess with these. You'll pretty quickly understand how they're meant to work, and you can get the shape that you wanted. I use these a lot for, like if I have a reference image in there, I can trace it, and these are extremely useful for that, because you can also do something like this, where I'll take this point out here, and I'll just come down here. So I just have one straight line, hit escape to get out of that, and now I want to manipulate this. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to drag it clear out to make it really wide and give it a nice angle. So you don't need a ton of points, but the points can help you get finer detail if you need it. And as you can see, these faces are selectable as well. So that's the basic line and spline tool. You've also got things like your standard rectangles, circles, ellipse, and slots, and a lot of things like that. So let's talk about the circle really quick. You got a couple different options here. The one that I use the most is the center diameter circle, because that basically just lets you click somewhere and that will be the center of the circle. So if I wanted to put a circle right in the middle of this, I would click right here and just drag out and see that it is centered on where you click. And that's just basically what that center diameter circle means. You can also do like a 2-point circle, which basically like you click at the top of it and drag to the bottom of it type of thing. And Control Z also works to undo like you would normally do with these types of programs. And then another pretty interesting one is ellipse, obviously, is just an elongated circle. And then slots, I actually use quite a bit. And now these are pretty interesting because a slot, you can think of it as two circles that are connected by some sort of rectangle. And when you click, the line that you create is actually from the center of the first circle to the center of the second circle. So I'll show that here. I'll just come down like this, and as I come out, you can see that I expand out from those 2 points. So keep that in mind while you're making these. And then you've got a slot like this. And now once you've got things placed like this, you can still manipulate them. Like this, I can move it up and down and move it around, but you may notice that the whole thing is moving and it may not be the behavior you've expected, and that is due to constraints. And as you can see, there's a lot of different constraint options down here. And some of these are very cool. I actually find these constraints to be more of a pain in the butt than anything, but if you don't want them, you can come over and click. These little icons here are constraints. So these right here obviously mean parallel line, and it will keep these two lines parallel, which is pretty cool. And now I think that this constraint right here actually keeps it aligned with this axis. So I think that's what's causing it to be weird. So I can click that constraint and I will hit delete, and then after that I can drag, and you can see now I'm rotating it. So just mess with those constraints to get the kind of behavior that you're expecting. And you can also click on these to add constraints. So if you want something to be parallel, you can do that here, perpendicular. There are several different ones, but I won't go into those just yet. Okay, so now that we've got these fun little shapes, say that we were done with this and wanted to start creating physical objects out of it. So let's come down here and we can hit stop sketch. You can also hit it right up here. And that will take you back out into the modeling mode. And now you can select these faces and extrude them. So let's say that we wanted to create this circle first. I will just select all of those pieces, and now I'm going to right click and click press pull. And that will allow me to pull it out into 3D space. And you can also specify the number that you want there, and you can also do a couple of other fun things with them. You can make it two-sided, so you can actually drag out this to a different degree below it, or you can make them symmetric, so you can create a two-sided object like that. But for now, I'm just going to keep it to one side. We're going to be building up like this. Now I'm just going to hit OK. And you can see that the sketch disappears the first time you do that. Not sure why it does that, but just come over here to Sketches, open up that drop down, and then click this little light bulb next to it, and your sketch will come back. And now let's bring up this rectangle around it. I'm going to go ahead and click press pull, and I'm going to bring that up, let's do 20. And now we can still do the same thing here and go symmetric if we want to. I'm going to leave it at one side, but now we have a couple different options. It defaults to join because it is connected to this cylinder right here, and it would like to become one object with that. Now if you want it to be its own object, you can click new body and they will be two separate things. But for right now, I think join's okay, so we'll just click OK. And now if we come to bodies, we can see that that is just one solid body. And the same thing goes for these fun shapes here. So I'm going to extrude this one up, and we will go, I'm going to go 18 on this one, and then we'll go 15 on this one. And I just did join with those as well. Something else that is kind of helpful, say we wanted to extrude this bottom part out again, you can see that we can't really select the sketch down there because this body is in the way. Now if we take our left mouse button and click over it and just hold, this little menu will come up here, and it will allow you to click specific things that are underneath that underneath your mouse. So first we have the face, which is the top of the rectangle that we extruded up. We have the profile, which is the part of the sketch that we want, and then the other side of the face for this object. Now we want profile, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go press pull and bring that up. And now you can see, since it's coming through another object, it's defaulting to cut. Let's just say that I wanted that to be a new body. So I'll click that, and now I can take this and move it. So that's kind of cool. And we can come up here. I'm going to hit OK. And select this profile here. Press pull. And I can actually bring it up through this object and cut it out. So now we have kind of an interesting shape there. So you can do all sorts of things like this. I'm just going to move this a little bit again so it's out of our way. And now I'm done with that sketch, so I'm going to hit hide. So the last thing I'm going to show you today is the offset tool. And now this is very powerful and comes in very handy. So say that we wanted to take the center out of this little thing. So basically the same shape, but just leave a little brim around here. So I'm going to come up to sketch, click create sketch, and now you can see that I have my planes that I can set things on, but you can also set these on faces. So I'm going to click this face, and automatically it gives us a sketch in that shape. So instead of having to trace along and leave a little gap here, what we can do is come up here to the sketch menu and hit offset. You can also click O. Now it will ask you to select a curve, and a curve just basically means an outline. So right here you can see that we have the outline of this entire piece of sketch. So I'm going to click that, and now it gives us the option to move in and out, creating that ledge that we were wanting. You can actually move farther out as well if you wanted something to encase it. But we'll just go in and say that I wanted that to be -2. So now I have a 2 millimeter brim all the way around. And I can stop that sketch, and then come select this middle part, press pull, and go through it, and you can see it thinks we want a hole, which I do, so I can hit OK. Now I have a hole right through there, and now this is a very funky shape that otherwise would be very hard to produce. Okay guys, well this was barely scratching the surface of sketches, but this will get you started, and you can do some very crazy things with sketches. So just get in there, play around, and we will just build upon our knowledge of sketches moving forward, because we will be using them a lot. I hope this was helpful, and I think in the next video we're going to talk about beveling edges and rounding them off, or as Fusion 360 calls them, chamfer or fillet. So that's it for this one. Thanks for joining me, guys. See you next time.